Life doesn't get easier or more forgiving, we get stronger and more resilient. Steve Maraboli. The aforementioned assertion serves as the cornerstone of this book. The sooner you accept that life isn't a bed of flowers, the better off you will be. Many individuals expect life to be easy, and as a result, many crash and even commit themselves. Sadly, life can be like an unreliable spouse who makes you promise for eternity but then files for divorce the next week. Although it is well known that life can be just as unpredictable as the financial market, sadly, many people are unprepared for this fact. People are ill-prepared and find it difficult to handle the flaming darts life tosses at them. If you are not mentally equipped to handle life's challenges, you will give up too easily. One of the main causes of depression in today's world is this lack of resilience. It's also the reason why a large number of people have committed suicide or attempted suicide. The World Health Organization estimates that 800,000 people commit suicide annually worldwide. This is a sad state of affairs, which is why you should follow Steve Maraboli's advice and strengthen your mental faculties, toughen up, and get stronger. Working out in the gym doesn't make you stronger forever. Instead, the preparation is primarily, if not exclusively, psychological and mental. The purpose of this guide is to help you develop mental toughness so that you can persevere through difficult times. Depending on your outlook, this voyage has the potential to transform your life. It will undoubtedly be breathtaking. Now let's get started. Chapter 1: The Trainer Called Adversity. Adversity is the most effective trainer. Experience is the best instructor. Nobody ever wants to experience bad luck. All of us would have wanted to sail through life without any hiccups. But life is not a bed of roses and chocolates. There are always thorns in the way, and things don't always go as planned. This chapter will examine how the difficulties we face have shaped us rather than broken us. Tough times are not avoidable. Adversity is unavoidable, despite the wishes of many individuals that this isn't the case. There are no magic wands or potions that can render someone immune to problems and bad luck in life. Consequently, you shouldn't hold out hope that you will never experience bad times in your life. Instead, you ought to be praying that you won't encounter challenges that will shatter you to the point where you are unable to rise above them. It's true that there are dreadful circumstances that have the power to rock a person and make them feel cursed. You can have a lovely existence, though, if you keep rising from the ashes like the phoenix does. It is not impossible to encounter adversity for the reasons listed below. You have dreams you want to achieve. For former Arsenal and France national team football star Thierry Henry, 2006 must have been one of his worst years. Thierry shed tears throughout the year due to the unfavorable circumstances he encountered. That year, he lost the UEFA Champions League final and the World Cup final. Each and every football player hopes to win one or both of these trophies before they retire, since they are the finest in all of football. In fact, when great football players retire and don't win these trophies during their playing days, they become jokes. Consequently, it is a sad state of affairs for a man to have lost both prizes in 1 year. Thierry Henry would finally lead Barcelona to victory in the Champions League. The idea is that we experience difficulties and depressing days because we have goals and objectives we wish to fulfill. So, when we don't succeed in achieving them, we get disappointed. Adversity is unavoidable for someone who has goals they want to accomplish. You have people and things you care about. The fact that we have loved ones and things we wish to work out is another reason why difficult times are inevitable. We all want to spend a very long time with our friends and families, enjoying their company and camaraderie. This isn't usually the case, though. We occasionally lose them to unforeseen circumstances like illnesses and accidents. Those are depressing and gloomy times in our lives. When we lose someone we love deeply, it can be difficult to move on. These circumstances, regrettably, are commonplace in life. Thus, since we have no influence over events like our loved ones' lives, difficulty cannot be avoided. We will be heartbroken if they pass away because we care about them. We have emotions. The fact that humans have emotions and robots do not is one of the main distinctions between the two species. Some of the most beautiful aspects of our existence are our emotions. When we receive birthday or achievement celebrations, it's because of them that we feel valued and loved. We like spending time with our loved ones and feel connected to them because of our emotions. But unpleasant states like despair, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts are also caused by our sentiments. The reason for this is that heartbreak might make you feel depressed. No matter how intelligent it is, a robot cannot comprehend such things. Feelings are also accountable for events like disappointments, betrayals, and frustrations. As long as you live, you will always have causes for these kinds of emotions. As a result, hardship cannot be avoided. Adversity is a trainer. Booker T. Washington once said, "It is more important to measure one's success by the challenges they have overcome than by the position they have attained in life." Such astute remarks are not to be disregarded. Washington has seen hardship firsthand, having served as a prominent voice for former slaves and their descendants who faced oppression at various points in history. Therefore, pay attention to what he has to say. Even though it may not sound pleasant, hardship is necessary. The trainer is the one who guides you towards your accomplishment by holding your hand. Therefore, on the days when it seems like the world is against you, remember to count it all joy. You will become a shining star after completing this training, which will remove the dross from your silver. Tony Robbins once said, "Difficulties are the gifts that force us to dig deep and discover our true selves, our purpose in life, and what it is we owe to others." Therefore, stop bemoaning your misfortune when you feel like everything is falling apart. Now is the time for your training. You can become more resilient if you adopt this perspective. A person can only become strong and resilient by the adversities they have faced. You learn from those experiences that you are stronger than you may have imagined. You are losing out on chances to prepare yourself for future difficulties when you consistently steer clear of difficult circumstances. The reasons you shouldn't shy away from obstacles are listed below. You'll not be able to achieve your goals. Before you can accomplish a goal, there are always obstacles to overcome. Yes, the degree of difficulty varies. To achieve your goals and objectives in life, nevertheless, you will need to face and overcome challenging circumstances. It follows that Booker T. Washington's earlier statement that a man's success should be determined by the number of challenges he has surmounted is not surprising. Without resolving issues, success is unattainable for anyone. One should give up on becoming an achiever if they are unwilling to succeed in spite of the overwhelming obstacles against them. You'll become vulnerable. To be viewed as a weakling is the last thing you want. However, if you create a culture where you always look for a simple solution, you may make yourself more susceptible to change. This strategy will force you to stick to your original plan A. Once anything tampers with your initial strategy, there's no turning back. For instance, as an entrepreneur, you will not be able to devise a new, successful plan if your current one fails. You'll not be able to cope effectively with stress. Stress is something we cannot escape, like it or not. Thus, in order to prevent being overcome by stress, it is essential that we have effective coping techniques and strategies. If you have previously dealt with a stressful issue, you won't feel nervous dealing with it again. However, because you are naive, you might not have the courage to tackle a scenario while you are new to it. You are more likely to make costly and harmful errors while you are in this frame of mind. Chapter 2: Critical Facts About Adversity. The myth that certain people are inherently more robust than others is one that is simple to believe. Resilience is a trait that may actually be learned. When you know a few important truths about stormy times, you can be more resilient and strong. This chapter will cover some essential adversity-related information that will help you change your perspective on challenging circumstances. Tough times don't last forever. This is undoubtedly a statement you've heard so many times that it's starting to sound cliché. All you have to do is acknowledge that this is a timeless truth that you must continually remind yourself of in order to overcome life's obstacles. When faced with the same challenge, two people's reactions differ because of their mental states. In actuality, there are people in the world who have overcome more trying circumstances and have succeeded where you have failed. Therefore, by choosing to solve problems rather than make excuses, you will be doing yourself a great deal of good. First and foremost, you must acknowledge that tough times are transitory. Sometimes it feels like the end of the road because of how intense things are and how they surround you. It is, however, nothing more than an illusion. If you decide to remain composed, you will figure out a solution. Bad times don't last forever. The facts listed below support this assertion. You have been in trouble before. It should reassure you that difficulties are temporary when you acknowledge that you have faced difficult times in the past but overcame them. They approach and attempt to unbalance you. You will only become stronger, though, if you can maintain your position. You had felt all hope was lost in the past. You should not give up on the current circumstance because you have already survived hopeless situations. Why are you unable to repeat the accomplishment if you were able to survive back then? Another difficult condition that is attempting to shatter you is the one you are in right now. This time around, like in the past, there is a way out. Nothing, not even your problems, endures forever. That is something you should keep in mind anytime you are going through difficult circumstances that could undo all the recent progress you have made. Adversity is for all. Those who believe that life has treated them more unfairly than others may find it difficult to get past difficult situations. Social media makes it simple to compare oneself to others in the current world. You could be forgetting, though, that people frequently share their greatest moments on social media. They rarely share photos or discuss the days when they are upset over anything bad. You believe that life has dealt you unjust cards while favoring others, which makes you feel horrible and unworthy. That some people are deliberately chosen for pain while others are chosen for happy experiences is untrue, nevertheless. Life has two sides, just like a coin. There are many happy times on one side of it and many disappointments and annoyances on the other. Consequently, try not to get carried away while you are living on the sunny side of life and believe that this is all you will ever get out of it. The memories should be preserved since you will need them on the days when things go wrong for you. Similarly, don't believe that your life is over just because something has gone wrong and you are facing hardship. The end of the tunnel will soon be in sight if you remain composed and press on. Life is fair to everyone, which is one of its lovely things. How? Each of us is aware of its two sides. Furthermore, nobody has the right to select the portion of life they desire. Even the wealthiest individuals are unable to make their own decisions in life. Yes, they can get a lot of things with their money. However, there are restrictions. If wealth could heal all ailments, wealthy people would never pass away from disease. However, affluent and well-known individuals also passed away while undergoing medical care. In addition, they also lose loved ones. Like everyone else, they go through divorce and heartache. For instance, prominent tennis player Andy Murray's tendency to play a lot of games caused him to break up with his previous fiancée. Therefore, don't assume that just because you're broke, your relationship ended. Regardless of your financial situation, someone who truly loves you will always be there for you. You will have both sunny and rainy days, no matter how well-known, wealthy, or socially prominent you are. Cherish these wonderful experiences and spread them to those who hold special meaning for you. Nonetheless, Keep in mind that everyone faces difficulties on those days when it seems like life isn't smiling at them. There's no glory without adversity. Lastly, it's important to keep in mind that hardships are a necessary part of the journey to become a champion in this chapter. Because they have been through a lot of struggle, conquerors are what they are. Despite being struck several times, they remain steadfast. Adversity is the furnace in which the world's finest military formations are created. They have received both mental and physical training in being aware of their surroundings and reacting appropriately. Champions cry uncontrollably and don't notice obstacles. Rather than that, they have problems with breakfast. You might be tempted to question whether certain people are human when you witness how composed they are in the face of adversity. But nobody was that way from birth. It is our past reactions to difficult circumstances that define who we are. You will have to spend the rest of your life escaping similar circumstances if you flee from a problem. But after you address the issue and find a solution, you won't feel nervous in the future if you encounter similar circumstances. You will spend the rest of your life being mediocre if you constantly avoid challenges. You will have to put up with seeing others bask in the spotlight as a result of their tenacity and willpower. You will never be celebrated, but you will always be among those who are enjoying others' successes. People who cry in the face of adversity are not recognized or honored in our world. Instead, the world honors those who, in the face of overwhelming obstacles, dared not give up. The motivational memoirs and biographies we read today are the tales of these individuals. In order to help others in similar circumstances, their stories are turned into popular films. Now that the ball is in your court, will you give up or decide to defeat your Goliath and emerge victorious? The only way you can be honored is if you select the latter above the former, I beg you. Chapter 3: Even the Rich Cries. We mentioned and clarified in the last chapter that everyone faces difficulties. Contrary to popular belief, wealthy and well-known persons also go through difficult periods that may have ended their upward trajectory. We'll examine a few particular cases of well-known individuals who were shaped in the crucible of hardship in this chapter. Despite their past failures, they didn't allow them to define who they were. Walt Disney. The guy who brought us Tom and Jerry and other beloved animated series is renowned worldwide for his inventiveness and capacity to produce exciting cartoons. But a lot of people don't know the backstory of his achievements. Are you aware that he was fired from the Star of Kansas City? Why? His editor thought he lacked the originality and concepts necessary to be successful. It sounds ludicrous, of course. But this is the reality. You should hold off on speaking until you learn more about this amazing man if you find this tale shocking. Unfazed by his bag, he established his first animation studio in Kansas City in 1921. 6 months after sending his drawings to a New York distribution company, he would receive payment. It seems that no business can thrive with such an absurd setup. Eventually, he had to close the business since he was so poor that he was hardly able to support himself. You may be wondering how a man who faced these difficulties ended up being nominated for 59 Academy Awards. Even though the odds were stacked against him, he persisted because he knew deep down that difficult times pass. Oprah. Oprah Winfrey, the self-made billionaire, is the next person on this list. Since she is a living example of how adversity can strengthen us, her tale serves as an inspiration to a large number of people worldwide. She had plenty of reasons to give up and think that success wasn't in her future. She persisted nonetheless, never giving up. She was raised in a working-class home where destitution was the norm. When she was still in her teens, her mother gave birth to her. Regretfully, Winfrey conceived her first child at the age of 14, and the child passed away soon after. It all sounds somber, and it seemed like her life would only end in tragedy. She, however, thought otherwise. She intended to pursue education and a career in journalism. Her admirable attempts to ameliorate her life did not result in an immediate improvement. The producer at one of her first gigs told her that she wasn't suited for television and that she should quit. She refrained from letting those disparaging remarks affect her, though. She persisted in pushing, and because of her unwavering bravery and success-driven desire, she has inspired countless individuals worldwide. Gates, Bill. Among the richest men on the planet is Bill Gates. Nevertheless, Microsoft's poster boy wasn't always a hit. Before he finally found his calling, he had a difficult time in his early years of life. In order to provide reports for transportation engineers using unprocessed traffic data, Gates founded Data. He and two other businessmen founded the company. However, things didn't turn out the way that was anticipated. When the data processing system was shown to a Seattle County traffic employee, it malfunctioned, forcing the company to shut down. Nevertheless, Gates remained unfazed by this sad circumstance. He made the decision to start over by taking the lessons he had learned from his previous encounter. His initial attempt at starting a business failed, but the lessons he learned from it served as the basis for one of the largest businesses in the world. Colonel Sanders. We learned from Colonel Sanders' narrative that it is never too late to launch a successful worldwide brand. Yes, it is always preferable to get started early. But Colonel Sanders showed us all that you can launch a successful business even in your later years. He began constructing his fast food business at the age of 62. You did indeed read that accurately. At this point in his life, many people would be relishing or anticipating retirement. Still, he made the decision to challenge the established quo. He gave his recipe for chicken to other eateries. More than 1,000 people reportedly rejected him, according to reports. The Colonel, though, had enough fortitude to persevere. His perseverance ultimately paid off when he opened a successful restaurant outside of Utah. The eatery was the original Kentucky Fried Chicken. The Colonel's chicken caused the corporation to triple its sales in just 1 year. Remember this man's perseverance the next time you want to give up and keep going. J.K. Rowling. Do you own a copy of Harry Potter? J.K. Rowling is the author of that tale. Is she not a huge success? You will, however, respect her achievement even more after learning about her life before her breakthrough. J.K. Rowling believed she had written something so exquisite that book publishers would be clamoring to publish it. Still, nothing was going as she had anticipated. She would later send the book to 12 prestigious publishers, all of whom shocked and disappointed her by rejecting it. She had created it in spite of obstacles that would have led other writers to give up on their craft in favor of what they believed would bring them more money. By the time she completed the first few chapters of the novel, she was divorced and needed to maintain a child. She might have thought that writing wasn't her thing during those difficult times when the work was turned down. She nevertheless chose to give it another go. A year later, she sent in the manuscript, which Bloomsbury accepted. A meager €1,500 were extended by the corporation. But as it happened, it was one of the smartest choices the company had ever made. King Stephen. Even if you're not a horror enthusiast, you've probably heard of Stephen King. He is an amazing example of what we can do when we decide to give it another go after being turned down multiple times. If King had listened to critics who told him that his ideas were absurd, he could have given up on Carrie, one of his best ever works. He had an impact during a period when horror films were not popular. His era was not like ours when publishing a book is more convenient. King tried 30 publishers with the Carrie novel, but none of them accepted it. Reconsider it. 1, 2, 3, 4, hurry up. A lot of people would have already given up. It's interesting to note that King was advised by one of the publishers to give up on releasing the book since negative utopias are not popular. Actually, King had thrown the work into a bin after giving up. When his wife found it and urged him to try again, he nevertheless gave it another go. It sounded absurd. What distinguishes the 31st attempt from the previous 30? History began when the king paid attention to his bride. Chapter 4: Why you should stand during periods of adversity. You will never return to terrible times the same way they found you, that much is clear. They'll either make you or break you. In order to make sure that you emerge from the experience stronger and not more vulnerable, you must play a crucial role, regardless of the assistance you receive from others around you. You will reap some rewards if you decide to maintain your strength on depressing days. These are a handful of them. Greater resilience. Resilience is the capacity to recover from adversity. It's a quality that not everyone possesses. Unfortunately for them, because life is unpredictable, it's a skill that everyone needs to have. The unpredictable nature of life, where you can be happy one minute and depressed the next, calls for mental toughness to persevere through hardship. It is only the strong that can withstand adversity and yet accomplish their goals. People who suffer from mental health conditions like anxiety and depression do so because they lack resilience. It's also the reason why some individuals believe that ending their lives is the best course of action amid difficult times. Thus, cultivating a robust attitude is essential. But if you have never had to endure a storm, you will never be able to accomplish this achievement. Adversity is what develops mental toughness in you. You have strengthened your resilience when you take on a challenge and overcome it with flying colors. This does not imply that you should yearn to be in uncomfortable circumstances. If you do find yourself in one, though, take it as a chance to strengthen your mental fortitude for the future. Enhance problem-solving skills. Problem-solving abilities are not inherited, much like resilience. Through confronting and conquering obstacles, they are obtained. Without the proper attitude, it is impossible to know how to tackle an issue. Your mental state towards a certain object or circumstance that sets off a particular pattern of behavior is known as your attitude. When you have the correct mindset, you'll think that there is a solution for every issue, even if you don't yet know the solutions. You will eventually find solutions to the issue by asking the correct questions of the right people when you're in that positive frame of mind. Yes, you will go far if you have the correct mindset. It will toughen and tenaciously make you. But without the necessary abilities, you cannot address a problem. Having solved a difficulty similar to this one in the past provides you the confidence you need to take on a task. Hence, you have improved your problem-solving skills when you take on and overcome challenges. The experience will help you to solve related issues in the future. Those who are unfamiliar with similar circumstances lack the advantage that comes with knowing what to do. Leadership skills. Because of their skills and expertise, leaders are selected and trusted. Nobody wants to hire someone to drive for them if they have never driven a car before. You want someone you can rely on to get you where you're going with the least amount of stress possible. Your suitability as a leader will increase if you have endured hardship in the past and maintained your position. People will naturally want to put their trust in you. They will appreciate you more if they realize that you have overcome comparable challenges in the past. Great leaders are capable of remaining composed in the face of adversity. When things get tough, others look to them as an inspiration source. Everyone needs a leader who, on the bad days when giving up seems like the right thing to do, can inspire hope and optimism. Individuals need individuals they can trust no matter what. They wish to have faith in you. Even if they don't understand what you're saying, they still want to be certain that you know what you're doing. Adversity-filled days are what get you ready for a part this delicate. Higher self-esteem. After conquering a task, it's normal to feel a sense of success. Your self-perception will improve since you'll feel pleased of yourself. You'll believe that because you can improve people's lives, you are a worthy recipient of their love and respect. You are more likely to have low self-efficacy when you have low self-esteem. The degree of confidence you have in your ability to complete a task successfully before beginning it is known as your self-efficacy. People will find it difficult to trust you to handle their tasks if you have poor self-esteem, which can also negatively impact your prospects of landing a job. It will also discourage people from wanting to follow you as their leader. You shouldn't discuss leading others because they will perceive you as someone who is incapable of leading oneself. Your ability to make new acquaintances may be hampered by low self-esteem, which can have negative social effects. Empathy. It is impossible to sympathize with someone if you have never experienced what they have. You can never have the same level of understanding as someone who has experienced the loss of a loved one. You cannot fully understand what such folks are going through if you have never experienced that kind of experience. Nowadays, there are a lot of harmful critics in the world who are either hypocrites or just don't comprehend what other people are going through. Certain football critics, who have never coached a football team, have a tendency to criticize existing coaches. Their inability to understand what it's like to try to make over 20 people happy while getting what you want makes it easier for them to judge others. Having had difficult times yourself, you will be able to relate to those who are going through similar difficulties in their lives. You won't advise them to simply forget about the circumstance. You'll say encouraging things to them. You won't have any problems granting them time off to heal emotionally from the shock if you are their supervisor. Lower anxiety. Some people are accustomed to maintaining their composure in the face of incredibly difficult circumstances. You're expecting them to sob and cry, but they don't seem to care about the issue they're having. Most of the time, these individuals have prior experience with similar circumstances. Although they are hurt, they are aware that their immediate emotions do not have to dictate choices they will later regret. These individuals radiate confidence and a calmness that is frequently startling. Sometimes, they will be the ones cheering on the visitors who have come to comfort them. This admirable and model mentality results from recognizing various bad circumstances and making the decision to move on from them. This frame of mind can also be attained by choosing to see the bright side of things during difficult times. Making a decision is all that separates standing up from giving up. It seems sensible to throw in the towel and confide in anyone who will listen when you are going through a difficult time. The good news is that you do have an alternative. You have the option to go on and see the bright side of things. Nothing ends unless you declare it to be. Chapter 5: The Dangers of Withering Under Pressure. You lose a lot when you lose it when going through tough times. It not only demonstrates your weakness, but also your lack of mental preparation for difficult times. These are a few risks associated with giving in to life's demands. Depression. 1 in 5 Americans will experience depression at some point in their lives, according to the National Network of Depression Centers. This psychiatric disorder is one of the most common mental health problems in the world today, along with anxiety. This truth shouldn't come as a huge shock because there are many potentially harmful scenarios in the current world. Depression will overtake you if you are not resilient enough to withstand life's storms. Keep in mind that depression is not the same as the occasional, fleeting moment of melancholy we get from an unpleasant event that happens to us during the course of the day. The intensity and time frame are what distinguish depression. Someone afflicted with depression may feel extremely depressed for a considerable portion of the day. Even weeks or days may pass during it. Social disengagement is one of the symptoms of depression. In this case, staying home and sleeping on your bed would be preferable to going out with friends and family. There's nothing wrong with wanting some alone time now and again. However, if you do it frequently, it becomes an issue. If unpleasant emotions are a regular occurrence for you, get help from a therapist right away before they become suicidal thoughts. Insufficient self-assurance. Nobody will take a chance on you if you don't have confidence in yourself. People only very rarely assign tasks to those who don't think they have what it takes to succeed in a position. Usually, one of the reasons such individuals are assigned duties is that no one else can be relied upon to fill the position. Your confidence will be destroyed if you let your difficulties overcome you. You'll grow accustomed to blaming others for your mistakes. Actually, you would have stated as much in advance if you were going to fail at the work. Thus, when you make a mistake, you'll tell your detractors that you anticipated the mistake beforehand. It's acceptable to assess your skills realistically. However, the reality is that sometimes you never know what you're capable of until you try. Thus, the greatest way to find out if you can solve a problem is to just try. Because they tried, some people have been fortunate enough to find the answer to a dilemma. These individuals created their own luck. Fortune smiles upon the brave. Treat a situation as though you have nothing to lose. Even if you don't succeed, you'll have learned from your mistakes. Diminish trust. You must begin facing your obstacles and looking for solutions if you want other people to trust you. Nobody will trust you if you have a habit of giving up when things get hard. This might be restrictive and problematic if you want to become a leader in your organization. The capacity to solve difficulties is one of the qualities of outstanding leaders. When things weren't going well, the leader who fled into hiding won't be remembered. You have to have a reputation for being able to remain composed under pressure if you want to be the person who people can lean on in trying times. You are never able to give away what you lack. You are only able to assist others once you have resolved your own issues. Fear. Being afraid is a natural element of being human. For this reason, we erect sturdy fences and walls around our houses and neighborhoods. We also go for medical checkups for this purpose. Anything that could jeopardize our safety or harm our health is not what we want. It becomes an issue, though, when your anxieties become so overwhelming that you are unable to try to live your life to the fullest. Adversity-filled days teach you to confront and conquer your worries. But if you flee from difficulties, dread will take control of you. You'll be terrified of failing since you don't want to receive negative feedback from others. You don't want to be made fun of by others. You so wind up rationalizing away your anxieties all the time. It could be said to as realistic. That is not at all the case, though. If you lack experience, seek advice from those who have been there before you. There are innumerable resources available in the modern world that can teach you how to do anything. Thus, the excuse of ignorance is no longer valid. Don't let fear rule your life. Take on your obstacles and disregard the repercussions. Shame. When you remember how you gave in when you ought to have exhibited more bravery, you'll be plagued with regret and humiliation for the rest of your life. When you witness someone with more obstacles triumph where you fail, it only gets worse. You don't want to admit to your kids that you failed because you were too scared to make a risky move earlier in life. Out of respect for you, they might remain silent, but they are aware that you were just making up lame excuses. You frequently crumble in the face of difficulty, therefore you can't afford to spend the rest of your life in the shadows. Making the most of life's challenges is a great way to strengthen your mental health right now. Put an end to whining about the things you are powerless to alter and begin focusing on the things you can influence. When life knocks you down, get back up and move forward. Later in life, you'll wish that you had. As you get older, you won't have to look back on your younger years with guilt and regret. A thought of ending one's life. If you find yourself sobbing every time you encounter an uncomfortable circumstance, you may eventually commit suicide. It all starts with believing that you are an unworthy individual who is not deserving of love or respect. If you lack resilience, you will be more likely to make poor decisions because you will frequently place the blame for your problems on other people or external factors. You'll think that other people have had it better off in life than you have. You'll attribute your lack of dexterity and inventiveness to your genes and your parents for your poverty. It's possible that your parents and other significant figures in your life played a role in your lack of opportunity. For instance, it's possible that they did not fund your schooling. Still, it's not a justification. Many people around the world have educated themselves as a result of their tenacity and refusal to accept blame for their failures in life. You are ultimately accountable for the decisions you make with your life. Thus, begin assuming greater responsibility right now. Ignoring this can cause suicidal thoughts to cross your mind at different times. Chapter 6: How to Build a Resilient Spirit. It's time to talk about how to develop a resilient spirit now that you have a solid understanding of the rewards and downsides of sticking up for yourself when things get hard. The following advice will assist you in this respect. See every challenge as an opportunity. Perception is what separates individuals who crumble in the face of difficulty from those who remain strong. The person fading away from the circumstance believes there is no way out once more. He or she believes that things will never improve. These folks can't seem to let go of what they've lost and find it hard to consider beginning anew after all of their original hard work. Resilient people, however, see the positive side. They are open to starting anew because they view the experience as a learning curve. They are not content with the circumstances. However, they are aware that moving forward will benefit them more. They are aware that moaning and whining will not benefit them in any way. They are aware that whining and pouting will not improve the situation. They decide to use the bad experience as a chance to improve their readiness for such situations in the future. You are not insufficient if you fail. Rather, it indicates that the issue may be beyond your control or that you may not have been enough prepared. Therefore, you need to view setbacks as chances to improve and gain knowledge if you want to develop a resilient attitude. Adversity must be viewed as a teacher who has come to strengthen your mental fortitude and better equip you for the future. Never stop learning from your experiences. Live for today, learn from yesterday, and have hope for tomorrow. The most crucial thing is to keep asking questions. Albert Einstein. It takes no intelligence to not learn from the past. Someone like that is squandering important opportunities that could improve them. The idea that some people never learn from their errors may seem bizarre. Some people believe their previous mistakes were only accidental, which is one of the reasons they keep making the same mistakes. They believe that if they remain true to their beliefs, things will change. Yes, there is a time and place for being steadfast in the face of uncertainty. But you ought to have a more sophisticated and improved version of the initial, ineffective strategy. Just because a method didn't work out doesn't mean it needs to be completely redone. It may only take a minor adjustment to your strategy to improve your chances of achieving the desired outcome. As Einstein once said, you can't afford to stop developing and learning. Your past plays a vital role in your learning process. Both positive and negative experiences from the past have taught you how to do things better. You should make use of them to strengthen your spirit of resilience in the face of adversity. Reduce your expectations. People often experience disappointment in life as a result of having high expectations. It's acceptable to have desires that you hope to fulfill. You should anticipate having a wonderful marriage. You can yearn for your ideal work in the same manner. Such ambitions are necessary for you to be able to fully pursue them. But you shouldn't see these objectives as life or death decisions. Put another way, keep J.K. Rowling in mind if your marriage or even your relationship doesn't turn out the way you had hoped. She is a wonderful example of how one's life shouldn't end due to a disastrous marriage. It is undeniable that the circumstances can be extremely distressing. In an ideal world, people get married because they are in love and want to live out the remainder of their days in each other's arms. It can therefore be psychologically taxing when things go wrong. You must, however, go on. Have the highest regard for your spouse, family, work, and all other facets of your life. But you shouldn't count on anything going wrong. Nobody desires a negative outcome. You should be aware, though, that things may not turn out exactly as you had hoped. In the event that something goes wrong, it will be simpler for you to bounce back when you have this reasonable expectation. Be optimistic. Even though life is turbulent and unexpected, hope is essential to us. Optimism is essential for navigating life. An optimistic expectation for specific occurrences is what is known as optimism. On the days when everything is bright and nice, you must remain optimistic. It is not impossible that something terrible may occur that will completely upend your world, so you shouldn't be afraid of it. But you shouldn't be foreseeing the end of the world in any area of your life. This is the equivalent of making a prophecy that comes true for itself. You shouldn't act in such a restrictive manner, it is too negative. Moreover, following a significant setback is the ideal time to be positive. You have to persuade yourself that the tragic event does not have to stop you from leading a happy and fulfilled life. When they reach a point of hopelessness, when they believe their lives are no longer worth living, some commit suicide. You ought to advise against doing that. You should write and speak with optimism as well as think positively. After a setback, tell yourself aloud that you are stronger and better than before. Take life one step at a time. You can't afford to live your life at the speed of the contemporary world. You will be under a great deal of strain and stress if you do this. It's best if you move slowly. You will find it difficult to bounce back from difficult circumstances if you are in a rush to achieve. You'll become frustrated because you'll think you're squandering important time. It's crucial that you avoid stagnation above everything else. You should be content with your life as long as you are making progress, no matter how small it may appear. Naturally, you ought to seize all opportunities you come across to quicken your advancement. But you should stay away from desperation to succeed, since it can leave you with permanent wounds. Avoid being overly rivalrous. Steer clear of needless comparisons with other people. Pay attention to your own development and your progress. If you are not improving personally, that is the only reason you should not be content with who you are. Avoid gauging your achievement based on what other people have accomplished. It is imperative that you go cautiously, particularly following an obstacle. Get back up, take a few steps, and then go running. Be flexible. Sometimes when you have to be strict. Sometimes you have to stand by your conviction, since there are a lot of individuals who think you can't succeed unless you follow their lead and adopt their style. In actuality, though, there is no secret to success in life. Individuals employ diverse methods to attain varying degrees of accomplishment in their various pursuits. Thus, you ought to have a plan and have faith in its effectiveness. Whenever possible, it's preferable to go against someone else's advice and fail than to attempt something the way you want to and fail. The latter causes more pain. Therefore, resist the want to be thrown around by people who think their goals are more important than yours. However, you ought to be receptive to guidance. You ought to be able to discern wise advice and heed it. Look for persons who have achieved success in that endeavor and have greater experience. Before making a conclusion, get their counsel and compare it with your plan. It is simpler to bounce back from a setback and go forward when you have people who can provide you with the advice you need to get well. Chapter 7: Common Obstacles to Building Resilience. Nobody desires mental weakness. Everyone wants to be strong and capable of enduring adversity. This isn't usually the case, though. Despite your best efforts to strengthen your mind, the following items have the power to maintain your mental weakness. Getting stuck to the past. If you dwell on the past after a setback, you will never be able to move on. You are hurting, for sure, and it's normal to feel that way. You have invested money, time, and effort into the relationship or business, yet it is now pointless. It hurts. But you have to let go of it. Out of all the options available to you, moving on is the only wise decision you can make. Choosing an alternative will simply tie you to something that will eventually disappear. Your former partner has moved on. You shouldn't make it your current goal if he or she decides to return. If you keep pushing for reconciliation when the other person doesn't want it, you'll simply become more irate and agitated. It is not acceptable to barge into people's life. Proceed with your life if you find that someone no longer desires you. Had J.K. Rowling continued to mourn every day over her husband's divorce, she would never have had the opportunity to create Harry Potter. Don't think that you can't achieve without your important companion. It's true that some people enter our lives and make the path simpler. However, no one is indispensable. Pessimism about the future. You can't be robust if all you see for your future is gloom, tragedy, and misery. You don't have hope, so all you want to do is wallow in your misery and dwell on the past. What law states that whatever you have accomplished thus far in your life cannot be more magnificent in the remaining portion of it? The moment is not right now to share your tale. When they have a significant setback, early bloomers frequently struggle because they fear they will never reach their prior level again. Some of them believe they have nothing left since they fulfilled their potential too quickly. This is untrue, though. You can always beat your old records and set new ones as long as you're looking for ways to do better. Low self-efficacy. Confidence in one's capacity to bounce back from adversity is among the traits of those who lack resilience. It is true that finding atonement can be difficult, particularly if you are going through a difficult period as a result of anything you did wrong. However, history can be altered. Proceed cautiously, but proceed nonetheless. Your final years may be the best of your life if you don't give up on yourself. Are you still familiar with Colonel Sanders' story? You still possess the opportunity to end your life in a unique manner as long as you are alive. You have to support yourself even though no one else will give you a second opportunity. You might be written off by everyone, including your family and friends. But none of it counts if you're not willing to give up on yourself. When you start seeing the desired outcomes, you'll gradually win over detractors and skeptics. Even if nobody is dancing, you should still sing. People will soon see your originality if you just be yourself. Lack of the right relationships. The right people in your life make it simpler to recover from a setback. In fact, one of the most important qualities that help someone maintain their ground in the face of fierce opposition is determination. You still require your loved ones, though. Put another way, having people around to provide you with the necessary support and encouragement makes it simpler to believe that you can overcome adversity. We cannot downplay or minimize the importance of friends and family in our lives. When you glance around, it might be disheartening to realize that nobody is willing to support you when you're in need. It can be hard to be resilient when you feel rejected and alone. Our loved ones and friends provide us with the bravery and fortitude required to get through trying circumstances. Thus, our strengths may fail us when they make fun of us or abandon us when we are having trouble. Having friendly relationships with friends and family can help us get by even in times of financial hardship. But when these people reject us or constantly bring up our prior transgressions, it can be difficult to move over a setback. Lack of focus. It might be difficult to stay focused in stressful situations. However, it is necessary for you to emerge from an emotional chasm. Take your time, locate a place where you can avoid distractions, and devise a fresh strategy. Setting objectives for yourself is one method to keep your life in focus. You have direction and a sense of purpose when you work toward your goals every day. Keep in mind that creating goals entails more than just listing your objectives in writing. Instead, there are certain abilities you must acquire in order to ensure the process success. Your objectives must be measurable and precise. In addition, they ought to be timely, attainable, and pertinent to you. You know you're headed in the right direction when your goals have these qualities. Upward social comparison. Measuring your accomplishment through social comparison entails contrasting yourself with those you believe to be under you or superior to you. There is a downward social comparison when you evaluate yourself against those who are less accomplished than you. However, drawing comparisons between yourself and those you believe to be superior to you is an upward social comparison. Social comparisons in any form are unhealthy. The upward version is the worst, though. A social comparison that is directed upward prevents resilience from growing. You'll continue to feel depressed about your life by observing others who have accomplished the things you haven't. Social media has made this problem widespread in the modern world. To receive likes and comments, a lot of people share photos of their pricey items on social media. If you're not careful, it may cause you to become frustrated and unhappy with your life. It is therefore ideal for you to prevent feeling down when you are attempting to get over a setback by avoiding social media. Chapter 8: Finish Strong. We'll close this book out on a really positive note by discussing how to wrap things up well. It's possible that you picked up this book because you thought your life was falling apart. Even so, the rubble can still be used to create something magnificent. The following advice can assist you in overcoming obstacles and moving forward so that the remaining portion of your life can be transformed into something lovely. Be grateful. I am not aware of the experiences you have had. In actuality, though, things could have gone worse. Indeed, it broke your heart. Though you are currently recovering from your injuries and restoring your boat, things could have turned considerably worse. You must begin by considering things from this angle. Thank God you are still here and that you have another opportunity to live a fulfilling life. Even if you may have lost a significant quantity of money, you still have your wonderful spouse, your children, and your supportive family. Which would you prefer, losing money or losing your loved ones? Of all, nothing can ever truly replace the companionship and life of friends and family. Thus, practice intentional gratitude. Select a notepad or diary and enumerate accomplishments in your life that deserve recognition. Get out of your house, visit peaceful locations, and simply take in the atmosphere. Visit a mountain, beach, or any other place where you may get in touch with nature. Make the most of those times to rediscover the worth of life, family, and health. Breathe and remain present as your mind gets ready to restart from scratch. Giving up is a decision, never make it. Run more quickly if you get behind. Never give up, never give in, and overcome the obstacles in your path. Jesse Jackson. Declaring that you have no options in life is among the worst mistakes you can make. It's untrue since you consistently do. When you let the events around you dictate who you are, you can never be mentally strong. As was already indicated, there are people in history and the modern world who have overcome circumstances that are much more restrictive than your own and have succeeded in their goals. Consequently, you should never consider giving up as a choice. Giving up is something that people choose to do. The finest times in your life to turn things around by persevering are when it feels like your back is against the wall. Those are the finest times to read biographies of those who have experienced comparable circumstances and gain insight into how they overcame their circumstances. You have nothing to lose again. Failing is never fun, but there are certain aspects of it that are lovely. In certain cases, it's even beneficial to your mental health. How? You are under a lot of pressure to maintain your flawless record if you have never failed before. There will be a lot of individuals who believe you to be superhuman, which will put pressure on you. It can cause worry on its own that you desire to keep your invisible status. But when anything goes wrong, you and those around you will acknowledge that you are fallible, which will ease their expectations of you and lessen their pressure. You will then have nothing left to lose. As such, It's the ideal chance to do things without putting undue strain on yourself. You have nothing to prove to anyone, so you can conduct yourself with peace of mind. All you are doing is trying to be the best version of yourself. Therefore, when you fail, try not to worry too much about what other people think of you. You ought to be written off by anyone who has never failed before. Obviously, nobody exists that is comparable. Make new friends. On the days you are being honored, friends are there for you. Enjoying the good times and moments with them, you share them. You don't actually need them on those days, though. You need that bear hug and an arm around your neck the most at difficult times. If your friends don't support you in your times of need, they aren't worthy of being in your life. You must find new acquaintances. Spend time with those who will inspire and motivate you to climb the ladder. Speak with someone who can support you rather than wallow in your misery. The person's prior experience with that issue or anything comparable is really helpful. When the rainy days are past, don't forget to keep these folks by your side. It is regrettable that some people have a habit of losing sight of the people who supported them during difficult times. Avoid being among those who lack gratitude. Tell your pals who supported you through your difficult times about the good times you had. Take a step back to run forward. Without a question, everyone enjoys hearing positive things said about them. People share photos of themselves on social media platforms because of this desire. Everyone wants to be complimented on their attractiveness, grace, and intelligence. That's a big deal, though, if those remarks are extremely meaningful to you. It's among the causes of why some people find it difficult to bounce back from adversity. They are unable to fathom a life without the limelight. It's important to learn when to take a break and devise a fresh plan of action. This strategy is especially crucial following a significant setback. There shouldn't be any intense pressure to resume your activities. Analyze the situation over time. Determine your areas of error and consider how you could have approached the situation better. You will repeat your previous mistakes if you restart without taking the lessons you've learned. Believe in yourself again. You have to start your path back to the top by accepting your faults. What you have done cannot be undone. Therefore, letting things go and attempting to live life to the fullest is the wisest course of action. You can regain your self-confidence by forgiving yourself. Remember that if you lack self-confidence, you will fail at everything in life. It's normal for you to occasionally find yourself thinking back on your past mistakes. However, you must never allow them to confine you. Make sure you begin with tasks you are certain you have mastered in order to simplify things. As you gradually raise your self-esteem, capitalize on your advantages. You shouldn't accept another blow after a significant catastrophe. Thus, before taking a chance, it is safest to do what you are certain about. Conclusion. Anyone who wishes to fulfill their dreams must possess resilience. It is an essential component of their existence. You will never get your wish list fulfilled on a silver platter in life. You must therefore be resolute and decide never to give up. On your path to greatness, you'll face numerous obstacles. You will ultimately reach your full potential if you view them as opportunities for growth and success. You will tumble back to the earth if you don't. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed in life. You'll discover that successful people don't always have it easy when you read about their lives. The deck is loaded against many of them. Many of them encountered resistance from those who didn't share their aspirations and ideals. They never, however, let those instances have an impact on them. Rather than backing down, they confronted their concerns. They eventually proved their detractors incorrect by refuting the accusations made by their harsh critics. You too are able to achieve this. Despite the horrible circumstances you have found yourself in, you have the choice to grow stronger and develop resilience. Until you decide to give up, your narrative is far from over. Recall that the modern-day champions were once overcomers. Nevertheless, they decide to use what they've learned to improve their own lives. You have the chance to act similarly now. Take control of your life and silence the critics in your mind who suggest you aren't suited for the top.